My name is Theo. I am 47 years old and have been a truck driver for 30 years. At the end of that day, night had already covered the desert with its silent blanket as I drove alone along the long road. My eyes, accustomed to the vastness of the night, caught sight of a lone figure on the side of the road. I slowed down and parked the truck next to the young man. It was Nico, a 4-year-old boy with a tired look and a lost expression. When he saw the truck stopping, he smiled with relief. I opened the window and, in a firm voice, asked, "Need a ride, buddy?" He nodded, throwing his worn backpack over his shoulder. "If it's not too much trouble, yes, I'd like a ride." I unlocked the door and Nico climbed into the cab. The space was tight, and we sat side by side. The smell of the road, leather, and a slight woody scent filled the air, creating an atmosphere charged with silence and meaning. The road went on endlessly, cutting through the desert under a star-studded sky. As the headlights lit the way, we exchanged simple words. He talked about leaving home, about fights with his parents, and his desire to simply move on, with no definite destination. I listened more than I spoke. From time to time, I glanced discreetly at Nico, as if trying to understand him with just my eyes. "So, nowhere to stay?" I murmured, my voice hoarse from the weather and fatigue. He shrugged. "Maybe I'll find something interesting along the way." The soft lights from the dashboard reflected in his eyes, which seemed to shine with a mixture of uncertainty and hope. I kept my focus on the road, but my thoughts were clearly elsewhere. After a few miles, I decided to stop at a small rest area. It was a place forgotten by time, with an old flickering lamppost and almost complete silence. With the engine off, the cabin was enveloped in a peaceful gloom. I turned to Nico and said, "This place is safe. We can rest a little before continuing our journey." He agreed, and we got out. We sat on the front bumper of the truck, looking up at the clear sky. We talked about everything and nothing at the same time. I told him some stories from the road, adventures that seemed straight out of movies. He listened attentively, laughing at some parts, admiring the way I saw the world. "You know, you remind me a lot of my grandfather. He also drove a truck. He had this calm, somewhat mysterious way about him." I smiled, looking up at the sky. The road teaches us to listen more and talk less. The wind blew gently, carrying the scent of the warm desert earth. It was one of those nights when everything seems suspended in time. That's when it happened. As he looked at me with those curious and sincere eyes, our gazes locked for a moment longer than usual. There was a different energy there. I leaned in slightly, and he didn't pull away. Our faces were close, and in that meaningful silence, our lips met in a soft and unexpected kiss. It wasn't quick or rushed. It was peaceful, calm, as if we were just confirming something we both already knew. After that, we returned to the cabin. I made some coffee in a small thermos and offered it to Nico. We shared the hot drink in silence as the night enveloped us with its calm. Before dozing off, he looked at me and said, "Thank you for stopping today. I don't know where I'd be if you hadn't shown up." I responded with a nod and a slight smile. The road has its right encounters at the right time. That night, two strangers found company in the middle of nowhere. I was looking for peace, he was looking for answers. But we both understood that sometimes a simple ride can be the beginning of something bigger. And when the sun began to rise on the horizon, tinging the sky with gold, the truck hit the road again. Nico was by my side, his eyes fixed on the horizon. It was the beginning of a new journey, marked by an unexpected, sincere, and meaningful connection. Because, on the road of life, the best encounters are the ones we don't plan. That day marked my life. I never forgot that boy. Somehow, that night, under the stars awakened something in me that I didn't even know existed. As much as time has passed, I deeply regret not asking for his contact information. Everything happened so naturally and intensely that it seemed we would have other opportunities, but life took its course. Whenever I passed through that area, I cast attentive glances at the shoulders, gas stations, and stops in the hope of seeing him again. Something in me still believes that, one day, fate may bring us together again. And if that happens, this time, I won't let it pass. Because certain encounters don't repeat themselves, but some, if we're lucky, give us a second chance. It had been almost a year since that unforgettable night in the desert. Life went on, as it usually does, with its routines, long roads, and silent stops. But inside me, something remained. A name, a look, a kiss under the stars. Nico. Since then, every time I passed through the same region, my heart would race. Sometimes I would stop. Other times, I would just slow down, with the foolish or perhaps instinctive hope that, at some point, our paths would cross again. That afternoon, the heat was beginning to subside when I decided to stop at a gas station that always brought back memories. It was simple, with a faded sign and an old concrete bench leaning against the wall of the convenience store. I parked the truck and got out, as I always did. But something was different. Before I even reached the store door, I heard my name. My God, you showed up. It was his voice. When I looked up, Nico was already coming toward me with open arms, teary eyes, and a smile that mixed relief and emotion. I thought I'd never see you again. Time stood still. I hugged him tightly, feeling my heart race like it hadn't in a long time. I also thought I wouldn't find you again, I replied softly. But deep down, I had hope. We stood there for a few seconds, in silence, just feeling that the reunion was real. Then we sat down together on the bench under the shade of the roof. I looked at him, as if observing a memory that had come back to life, and said honestly, "Kid, I never stopped thinking about you." Nico looked back at me, serious, with a sparkle in his eyes. "I haven't forgotten you either. What happened to us, Theo?" I sighed, feeling the weight of what I had carried in my chest for so long. "Our paths were written in the stars, Nico. That encounter, it wasn't by chance. And this reunion isn't either." He smiled, looked down, and nodded. There, at that gas station lost in time, the road brought us together once again. And now, I knew. It was time to continue the journey, but this time, no longer alone. From that reunion on, everything changed. What was once just the road and loneliness became sharing, conversation, laughter, and comfortable silence. We started dating shortly after. There was no formal proposal, no set date. It just happened. Natural, like everything that had always been between us. Today, it's been 3 years since that day at the gas station, and we're together, living the road and life side by side. He still carries that worn backpack, and I still drink too much coffee. But now, we share every landscape, every stop, every sunrise seen through the truck's windshield. And if you're wondering, but don't they have a home? Yes, we do. A beautiful home, with everything we need. But the truth is, we prefer the freedom of riding in a truck. It's here, on the asphalt, that we feel alive. This is where our story began, and where it continues to be written, mile by mile. Being a truck driver has always been synonymous with freedom for me. But with Nico by my side, I understood that true freedom is having someone with whom you can be whole, not half. Someone who looks at you as if they've known you since before you first met. You know, life has a curious way of working. Sometimes it takes people out of our lives. Sometimes it pushes us away from where we thought we should be. But if we pay attention and are willing to listen to the silence of the night, it also knows how to bring back what seemed lost. When love is true, there's no need to rush. It just needs courage and time. Today, as I look at the passenger seat and see Nico with his feet up on the dashboard, laughing at some silly thing on the radio, I am certain the best cargo the road has ever given me was him. And if there's one thing I've learned from all this, it's that some encounters are not by chance. They are destinies that intertwine, even if they miss each other for a while. They are hearts that recognize each other even before words. And when the universe decides to unite two paths, neither time, nor distance, nor fear can stop it. Because true love, the kind that is simple, light, and strong, always finds a way to come back. If this story touched your heart, just as it touched ours, don't forget to like it, share it with someone special, and of course, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any more real, profound, and emotional stories like this one. Because, in the end, everyone has an encounter that changes everything. And here, we tell those stories. Until the next trip.